Alright guys, we're going to get started on this Mitsubishi body for the XV01. That's one you guys wanted to see done. That's what we're going to do. I typically like to start off with tracing all my lines out with a fine point Sharpie. Just keeps me from getting, if I get distracted or whatnot, I can still follow my lines pretty clearly and make sure I'm cutting where I'm supposed to be cutting. And it helps with visibility if the lighting's poor or anything like that. I do it on my bodies. It's just a habit I fall into. So yeah, typically, like I said, I'm just going to trace all our lines that we want to cut out. And then it'll help us make sure that we stay on course. I'll do that. I won't bore you guys with that. I will knock that out real quick. Alright guys, traced all my lines out. If you're going to lose your line, this is the time to do it when you're using a Sharpie, not an X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors. That could make, you know, bad news for you. So I don't concern myself too much with if I lose a line right now, just a little bit. I just make sure I correct it. That way I know not to follow it. Just pop it out real quick, you know, just get some lines. I don't know if you can see any of this or not. You can see the lines, just so I know where to follow, where to go around. There is some detail work in here where the fender bulges out a little bit further, that if you're not paying attention, someone's talking to you, somebody comes down and asks you a question, whatever the case may be, if you get lost and not paying attention and you cut that out, well, your wheel well is not going to look right, and it's going to definitely open that up. So it's nice to just trace it out, follow your lines, you know where you're going, you know that line's there, you know where you want to be. Just extra added little security. I mean, I've definitely done it in the past where I didn't do this. I don't remember where I picked this technique up. It's just extra, again, you know, just to keep you on course, make sure everything's looking good and you're following where you want to. Next, we're going to cut this bad boy out, and then we'll start going from there. Alright guys, I know there's a lot of different ways to cut these bodies out. Some guys use Lexan scissors, some guys use the score and snap technique. I am one of those guys that use the score and snap technique. I used to use Lexan scissors back in the past, and I always noticed that I never got a clean cut. I had the straight style, I had the curved style, and it always left me with a jagged edge that I had to sand. I spent a lot of time sanding. The score and snap technique just seems to work better for me. I'm sure everybody's different. That's what we're going to do though, is we're going to do the score and technique. I'm going to cut this all out. I'm going to open a new one. I've got so many of these X-Acto knives it's not even funny anymore. I find that some of these are better than others. I check my blade, say, prime example. That's not a good thing. We don't want that. I may actually have to search for one of my better ones. I got this, I won't say from where actually. I got this with a kit, and well, let's see if it tightens actually. That seemed to help actually. I take that back. I know I've had a few of these where the blade comes right out while I was cutting these things, and that's super sketchy. Definitely cut yourself with these, obviously, as you guys would know. Hopefully you don't do it. Hopefully you haven't. I haven't yet. But yeah, you got to be super careful with these. So if there's any younger viewers out there, try to stick with scissors for now until you get used to it, because the blade can come out. And then I want to point out real quick, since we're talking about all that stuff, down here, because I have a body over here that I've already done, exact same body. They all come out the same mold, so they're all going to have the same thin spots. And right along here, it's definitely a thin spot. So when you're cutting this with an X-Acto knife and you're running your blade down here, be super careful about having your fingers back here, because I tell you now, this is super thin, and this blade's going to go right through here, no problem. Whereas in some of these other areas, like up in here, I don't know if you can see that very well, but up in here, you'll kind of scratch the surface as the score and snap technique is, you know. But down through here, that blade's going to go right through. You want to be careful not to have your fingers in here, or try to keep them away as best as possible. It's pretty much one of the only spots that I think it was super thin that I noticed the blade went right through, and I ran the blade right down it, and it cut. I mean, it was a good cut and everything. It's just, it was super thin, and if I wasn't paying attention or anything like that, and if I moved my finger in the wrong direction, it could have definitely cut me. But I try to be super careful because I don't really want to cut myself. I've cut myself plenty of times with these and with lots of other stuff. It's not a good feeling, and nothing will ruin your day faster than that. So be careful. Just try to stay cautious. But this is definitely my preferred technique. I like this better. I definitely like the score and snap technique. So we'll get started doing that, and then I will make sure all of this is in, all the boring stuff is in high speed, because I mean, I'm sure many of you have already done all this. So I'm sure it's not your first rodeo. You've probably cut out plenty of bodies, probably painted plenty of bodies. I'm just going through what I do, how I do it, and if you learn anything, awesome. It's just, again, how I do them, and if you haven't done it the way I've done it, maybe you'll try it, and maybe you won't. I don't know, but here we are. Right there, I'm going to stop and show you right through. Okay, so be super careful. Alright guys, well, I'm done. I did have a couple slips with the knife. Nothing bad. I can definitely clean it up with a little bit of sandpaper. I'm just admitting it because nobody's perfect, right? But, how about that? One piece. The only other thing I gotta trim out is the license plate. I'll do that real quick. I won't bother you guys with that one on camera. But here we go. She's cut out. Alright, we gotta obviously hit that with some sandpaper, clean it up. And you can see the edges are actually pretty clean. Ignore the Sharpie mark because that doesn't matter, but My cut marks are actually pretty decent. I had to clean this bottom edge up a little bit. Here I lost my way a little, just a tiny bit, nothing big. It's better to have too much than too little. I can sand that away, but all the parts that I've always really tried to focus on, and always have more material if needed. There's a little spot here I can sand away. There's my wheel wells. Wheel wells, I feel like, can make or break a body a lot faster than this bottom line ever will. I can sand this away and get this perfect, and you'll never even notice there's a little bit gone. This wheel well, something's missing from there. You're going to catch that real quick if you ever look at it. Back here can be pretty tough. Here you can see I got a little piece I got to clean up down here. Blade got away from me again. There was, weirdly enough, there was actually a couple soft spots back here that threw my knife off and threw me off a little bit. You got a little scratch here. Hopefully it's just in the protective coating and not in the body. If it is, well, I mean, this is a rally car. It's not going to be the only scratch it ever sees. All in all, not bad. I mean, I'm sure there's better people out there than I, but we do our best, right? Alright, we're going to be moving on to the next stop here shortly. Let's sand this all up. I won't bother you guys with sanding. Everybody knows how to sand. Just going to clean it up real quick, get everything situated, and then what we'll do, what I normally do from here, is make sure my body holes are where I want them. Mark them with a Sharpie, just so once the body's painted and everything's good to go, we know where we want to be. Obviously, I've had this body on this kit before. Again, exact same body. I originally had it on a TC3, but I ran it on here for a little while. Drilled extra holes in it, obviously. I mean, I just couldn't see wasting a body that was still in decent shape when the TC3 itself was done. So I did run it on here for a little while. I gave it to my son to run on his car for a little while, until his body's done, just so he had a body on his car. And yeah, so I'll mark those out. We'll pick up for the next part here, and we'll go from there. One more thing I wanted to point out before we actually wash this body. Something else that I always do is I take that Sharpie. I usually, excuse me, sorry, I can't talk today apparently. I usually use a little bit thicker Sharpie to mark out any hole that I'm going to drill now before it's painted. Just because it may be hard to see after you paint it. Fortunately with this body, because I already made one up for the XV01, exact same body, I know what holes I'm going to be using already. But obviously you would take your chassis, there's the license plate I cut out, and you'd set it on the body. Tamiya is pretty awesome about having their stuff pre-marked with dimples, so that you, for certain kits and stuff like that, that help you locate body posts and all that good stuff. Doesn't matter the brand really. It's always nice to set it on there. Try to get it lined up. Obviously, without holes, you're not going to get it to sit properly, but you can get a general idea. Again, with Tamiya, with everything having dimples in place to give you an idea of where you want your body posts. I always like to mark them anyway, just so that when you go to drill them out and put your holes in, everything's there. If it's painted, you can still see where it is. Let's say it's a different brand body, like a Proline or something like that, that doesn't have the dimples already there for you. You're going to know generally where you want it. So this one has a wing, so I already marked those. I marked where the posts go through the rear window. I marked here where it's going to go through the front, and then here where we're going to have mirrors. I just like to mark them ahead of time, because once this is painted, you're not going to see it. That ship has sailed. So regardless of the body, even though it's a Tamiya body and they're usually pretty good, and this, I believe, the same pattern will fit a TT02 if I'm not mistaken. If it's the XV01, obviously. I think depending on what post you have, it may even fit the TT01. And probably some other ones, who knows, maybe a TA02 or something along those lines. Tamiya's usually really good about that stuff. They use a lot of the same locations. And again, it's dimpled so that, I mean, you kind of know where it's going. But I like to mark them anyway to remind myself, in case I stop this project for a week or two and I may forget, who knows. They're marked. I know where they're going. And you will be able to see that later. And it's on the protector film so that when you peel that off, you won't see those marks in case something changes. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said before, we'll wash this. I just thought I'd throw that in there in case some people don't know this. And hopefully that helps you out too. Wait a minute, guys. You didn't really think that you were going to get a finished product in one video, did you? Sorry, not. Wait for part 2. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like what you've seen so far. Thanks.